Hey, it's Tom Sinclair with Streaming Idiots. We are in an undisclosed remote location today. I know it looks kind of like the regular studio, but that's the beauty of what we do is we can be anywhere and appear to be somewhere else. It's really amazing. Actually, truth be told, studio internet is on for 15 minutes, then off for 6 minutes, on for 20 minutes, then off for 7 minutes. It's totally unreliable today. Not sure what's going on. The little squirrel in the squirrel cage is just not, he's taking a break way too often. So we're actually broadcasting using my little phone here as the internet source, which will mean, full disclosure, if I get a call during this broadcast, and don't call me, this is not funny. If I get a call during the broadcast, it cuts the internet signal so that I can take the call. And I looked for a setting where I could reverse that and have internet all the time, ignore all the calls, don't give me a call, but I couldn't find a setting for that. So, full disclosure, if things go haywire on the live feed, you'll know why. Recorded feed, you'll see me try to answer the phone and get rid of somebody. Just ticked my wife off big time a few minutes ago when she called and was like, dear, I hate to say this, but go away. Don't ever say that to your wife. Don't. It's going to cost me big time, I'm sure. Anyway, that's my problem, not yours. Part of the show today is going to be, hey, what's it like to be on the move in a regular show environment? What does it take? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And also want to show you where I am and some of the things that are pretty cool with here. I'm keeping my eye on the chat room today. I did bring a second monitor. What I didn't bring, and let me tell you what I did bring. On the road, got my Asus ROG G751 JT laptop. That's an i7 with a NVIDIA, I think it's a 960 graphics card, solid state hard drive, terabyte backup drive, plugged into, I've got a mouse plugged in, I've got a second monitor plugged in, I've got Thunderbolt working, and I'll tell you about that in a second. That's going to be kind of fun. I'm plugged into Cat 5 with a crossover cable that goes to a PTZ camera, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then what else? I see something else over there. Oh, that's just mouse. And then I've got the telephone plugged in for power. I've got a couple of lights behind me, and let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. And a portable green screen. So the portable green screen is just set up off the ground a little bit with a couple of El Cheapo lights from Walmart. And then I've got some LED 75 watt equivalent LED bulbs in those. I think they're 2300K color temperature, but I'd have to check them to be sure. I can't really tell. Yeah, it's too small. And then I've got two more here and here, trying to stay away from lights right in front of me because otherwise you get the big glare. You can see the big glare off the glasses. The camera that I'm using today is, you're going to love this. It's my Canon. Let's go back to this other shot. I feel kind of naked without my regular set behind me. The camera is a Canon, little handheld Canon HF-R100. So this is the very first of the HF-R series that Canon put out. It's coming out HDMI 1080p, going through the HDMI cable, coming into, boy, I wish I could show you a picture of it, coming into what would you call it? A Thunderbolt expansion chassis. And that's plugged into the laptop via Thunderbolt. And in the expansion chassis is a good old Blackmagic Intensity Pro card, the old style, not the 4K style. And so that's how we're getting HDMI in. And then, of course, for audio, we're using the Audio-Technica ATR 2100 mic via USB. And there is, I had to boost the audio in vMix a little bit because I've maxed out the audio here on the mic. I've maxed out the audio in the PC. And so we had to boost, let's see, let's look at this one right here. Yeah, we've got 5 decibels of gain in the in vMix, and then the device volume is 100%. This room that I'm in is not acoustically treated at all. It's about a 12 by 12 room. There's a blank wall behind me, some hard framed pictures. Whoops, you can see, yeah, see the edges of my green screen. Some hard framed pictures so a lot of glass, a lot of hard surfaces, some wood cabinets in front of me. So it's not acoustically treated at all. You can probably hear a little background echo for that reason. If you can't, well then that's good. I shouldn't have told you. Um, let's see what else is the setup here. The second camera is actually located in a different room, and I have got I'm plugging into it's a PTZ Optics. It's their Generation 1. It's the 12X SDI version, but I'm plugged into it via Ethernet, just regular old Cat5 with a crossover, so I didn't have to use a switch. So I'm plugged straight into the camera via Ethernet. And let me show you what the, let's see, let me show you what that looks like. I'm actually broadcasting from a conference room at my church. And so here is a shot from the PTZ cam. And the cam is mounted about, I'd say, 12 feet off the ground, slightly off center, as you can tell, overlooking the sanctuary. And I've set up a couple of pre-shots just to kind of give an idea of where these are. And let's see. Let's zoom in with max zoom on this one. So we'll just go ahead and let the camera do its thing and see if, yeah, there we go. So that's not bad. That's maximum zoom on that camera. And this is, again, this is the 12X SDI version, Generation 1. Not really sure what the difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2 is. And the firmware on this one hasn't been updated, so it is what it is. Let's go back out to that one. And again, we just kind of finished the demo on the camera here. I've got a far left shot, so we'll get it to pan all the way to the left. You can see the sound control booth there. And then I've got a far right shot, and so it's going to pan around. Now, when I was setting up these shots, I was able to adjust the panning speed and the tilt speed as I was setting up the shot. So I could speed up the pans or slow down the pan, but that had no effect over the preset. Once I made the preset in vMix, it just pans at what I think is full speed. In fact, let's test that out. Let's go. We're going to go far left, and then I'm going to take control of the camera here in the camera control, and I'm going to set the speed at full blast. So we'll pan all the way to the right. That's full speed. Oops, goes a little further, doesn't it? And then we'll slow it down all the way to the bottom, and that's slow speed. So we can see there's a good bit of difference between the slow speed. Boy, this is going to take forever. So let's don't do this. This is mid speed right here. So you can tell there is a discernible difference. And then we'll do 3/4 speed. And then this is 100% full speed. There we go on that one. And then if we want to go all the way back to the right, I'm going to use the preset. That looks like it's even faster than full speed. That's kind of interesting. I'm doing a lot of work with the PTZ cams right now because I think they're, especially for churches and certainly for other organizations too, but for churches, I think there's a boost in value to the PTZ cam. If you're going to have a high-end cam anyway, if you want a PTZ cam, the benefit that I see with this particular setup is, number one, there's no capture card. It's using the the internet connection, well, it's not even internet. It's using a pseudo network because they're only just the camera and the PC. But I've hooked it up through a switch before, and it works beautifully. So you've eliminated a $1,000 capture card if you're doing 4 cameras of HDMI, and a $500 capture card if you're doing 4 cameras of SDI. Now, I haven't pushed it to the limit yet, and in fact, I've just ordered and had come in from Wi-Fi Texas. It's wi-fi-texas.com, a switch that is that has PoE, so that we can power the camera, we can control the camera, and we can receive video from the camera all on one cable. And for me, that's sort of a holy grail kind of issue. Just coincidentally, it's in a church. But think how much easier it would be to do the wiring and the install of a camera if we just had to run, one Cat5. Now, in the real world, yes. If I'm doing the installation, I'm running 2 Cat5s because it's not that much more trouble to run 2 of them than it is to run 1 of them, and that gives you a spare in case one of them, a church mouse chews through it or something like that. So they're having that redundancy in there. I mean, if it was me, of course I'd just have 1 cable and they'd all be bare wires because I want to see how it happens. But in the real world, where we want it to work every time, and we're not experimenting with how bad it can get before it stops working, we want to have as many fail-safes as we possibly can. So it's going to be interesting to see, number one, if this switch is going to be able to handle 4 cameras of high-definition video. Had conversations with the Wi-Fi Texas guys and with the PTZ Optics guys about that and about whether it's going to happen. In fact, this is interesting. The Wi-Fi Texas guys said that you don't need a gigabit switch in order to pull these cameras in like this. That 4 cameras sending 1080p video, for PTZ Optics cameras, they were specific with this, sending 4 1080p video signals would not overload a 10100 switch. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. I have a 10100 switch, and I've borrowed some cameras, so I'm going to be interested to see if we can overload that switch, and just how many cameras can you put on a 10100 switch, or do you have to go to a gigabit switch in order to get, if you wanted 8 cameras, for example. Anyway, the jury's still out on that one. It's a fun experiment, and I appreciate the folks at PTZ Optics loaning me some cameras, and Wi-Fi Texas was very quick to get the necessary gidgy gadgets to me. The PoE switch, which has the which has the E. No, I guess it's got the P built into the switch, so it's injecting the power right there at the switch, and it is a switch at the same time. And then there's a little splitter that you plug into the end of the Ethernet cable that splits out the power and the Ethernet part, which carries the video and the control. So it's going to be interesting to see if all that's going to live nicely and gently with each other, or whether they'll fight with each other and we'll have problems. So that's kind of the story on where we are with the PTZ cams and experimenting with that. We've kind of given you an idea of this mobile setup. Oh, I'll say, I posted on Twitter, and if you don't follow me on Twitter, go to our website, Eastern Shore Broadcasting, and follow us on Twitter. You'll get all sorts of occasional goodies, mostly about this show and when it's happening. But I did post a photograph, and I don't have a way of putting it up here, so you'll have to take my word for it and go to Twitter or our Eastern Shore Broadcasting Facebook page and see the page there of what this setup looked like when it went in the back of my Honda Odyssey minivan. It didn't, I could have put it in the back of an old Volkswagen. It didn't take up a whole lot of space. The green screen folds down to next to nothing. I had a box that included, 4 lights and the Thunderbolt box and a monitor and a bunch of cables and extension cords, camera. Then in my backpack I had the laptop and all the power cords and cables that went with that. And I think I had to borrow an extension cord when I got here because I didn't think to bring an extra extension cord. I brought a breakout box, but not an extension cord. So was able to put together a pretty fast portable rig that didn't take up a lot of space and could be very easily duplicated. I will post in the show notes for this YouTube. If you're watching us live on YouTube or watching us live through our website, when we post this show on YouTube later, the finished show, we will I'll post down in there, exactly what we brought in order to do this remote broadcast. It's really not a very long list, and I didn't forget anything other than that extra extension cord that I didn't think I needed. And this is all. Somebody was asking me earlier, before I got here, Tom, could you have done all of this on battery? If you were out in the field, could you have done all this on battery? And I thought about it. What would I need that, what couldn't I have that I have right now? Obviously, I couldn't have the lights, 2 lights here, 2 lights here, so the lights are gone. I can run the camera on battery. I can run the laptop on battery. I could do away with the second monitor. The only thing that would give me a little heartburn in this current setup is I wouldn't have a way to power the Thunderbolt expansion box. It's basically a PCIe expansion using Thunderbolt. I think it uses Thunderbolt 1. And I know it's got enough bandwidth in order to handle 4 cameras at HDMI. At HD, either HDMI or SDI. That would be the only thing. And I guess I could have taken this rig and used a Magwell USB HDMI dongle, and that would have powered this particular camera. I don't happen to have one, but I could have used something like that. I could have used a webcam. Heck, I could have used the camera that's built into the laptop, but I wouldn't want to use a laptop camera. I didn't use the laptop mic. I brought this mic. I actually brought a lav mic also in case this one didn't work as well as I expected. But thanks to the guys in the chat room, we were able to get the mic kind of powered up to enough audio level, and then didn't have to do it. Mike is suggesting, using LED lights. Leonard said maybe battery-powered LED lights. And you could use a power bank with AC for the Thunderbolt box. That's true. I guess if I had my car, yeah, that's it. Giles is saying, if you've got a power inverter, then just plug it in to the automobile, and it'll change the 12 volts over in our case here in the U.S. to 120. And he's suggesting solar power. That's interesting. He uses a battery, an inverter, and a solar power to power everything in a field, and a generator if that runs out. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'd love to see a picture of that. That would be neat. But there are lots of possibilities. Now, if I were doing remote broadcasts on a regular basis, this would be, I would think, much too cumbersome to set up. If I were trying to set up in, let's say that I had a client that wanted me to do video for them in their office. Well, this is not a bad setup. It's only 4 lights. And again, if you're just joining us, late, this is what I look like today. With that one of those little pop-up green screens. This is the pop-up green screen that pops up in 5 seconds but takes 20 minutes to put back together. Yes, Giles would love a picture. And inexpensive lights from Walmart behind me right here. 2 lights, clamp-on lights from Home Depot in front of me. Camera on a camera stand. What was this microphone? Less than $100, and it goes USB or XLR. Yeah, this wouldn't be a bad little portable setup. How long did it take me to set it up? It took, the show started a few minutes late because we were struggling with embed codes. So let's say the show started about 5 after 2. I probably got here and started setting up, and I'm on Central Time. Generally, we post all our times as Eastern Time. So I was probably here maybe an hour and 15 minutes before I went live, with probably an hour, yeah, maybe just an hour before I went live with the pre-show. Um, but you know, you got to have firm concept of how everything's worked. I did, even though I just built the little Thunderbolt box thing with the Intensity Pro and put it all together this morning. I tested it back at the studio to make sure that it was working there. Um, and I'd already downloaded the Blackmagic drivers and already configured the Thunderbolt port so that it recognized that this particular box was not an approved Thunderbolt device. And we kind of got we had that discussion with the software. Um, yep, it's pretty workable, pretty darn workable. I'm impressed. I'm gonna give myself an A. except except what I realize now is I got out of the studio with my Asus Republic of Gamers G751JT. I'm just looking at the label here. I got out and that didn't have on it all of the normal stuff that I use in my show, all the presets. So I had to basically build the whole preset with, how many presets am I working with here? Including the multiple shots there inside the church. I'm working with 17 inputs. That's not really that many. But generally we'll work with 50 or so, with lots of different graphics, and of course the intro and the outro require several different inputs too. What else? Let's see. What else do you want to know? What else do you want to know? Guys in the chat room are talking about how to power all this stuff without electricity, just with batteries. Mike is suggesting a road case with wheels. Now that would be nice. That would be nice. I have got on the drawing boards right now an i7 hex core processor based PC built in a rack mount case, and the rack mount case inside one of those big tough travel cases that has wheels and a handle, as a way to have a full-blown, more of a gig machine than it would be, excuse me, kind of an office machine like this. I would say this would be great if I were making a presentation in somebody's conference room or office. But if I were going to a concert or a football game or a soccer match or something like that, I probably would lean more to a gig machine. Oops, there's the edge of my green screen again. Because here I'm just counting on one video input, even though I've got the ability to have the camera from the church sanctuary. I really don't count that as a camera, because that was already here. I just plugged into something that was already here and available. It's not like what I was it's not like I brought it with me and installed it in order to use on this show. It was just here, so I thought I would show you guys while I was here. Let's see if we got any questions here in the chat room. Rafael says, you're right, it's always a fight between lightweight portable and independent. Al says, are presets in vMix equivalent to VidBlaster modules? Yes, they are. They're pretty, I'd say 95% the same kind of deal. Except I think VidBlaster, the streamer is a module and the recorder is a module, and here in vMix they're just sort of built-in parts of the software. But they could be modular, or they could not be. The internet that I'm running here is off my Samsung Galaxy phone, so don't call me or it'll drop the signal. And that's just plugged into my laptop just to make sure that it has lots of power and doesn't drain the battery out. The speed test I did on that, I should have saved a copy of that. The speed test, hey George, glad you're here, was about 20 megs down. This is through the phone now, and the phone is connected through Wi-Fi to the laptop. So 20 megs down and about 10 or 12 megs up. Today we're streaming this show. Since I really wasn't sure, we're streaming 720p at 1.5 megs. Generally we stream at 2.5 megs. Not that we need to for a show like this, but you got the extra bandwidth, so may as well. And one of the beauties about streaming to YouTube is that YouTube re-encodes this stream. So I may be sending 720p to you or to YouTube at 2.5 megs. YouTube is going to re-encode it at 480 and 360 and 240 and 144, and so that if you're watching on your phone, you're not downloading 720p and paying for 2.5 megs download, even if you had it. Let's see what else. Giles says he's using his phone. He's got an unlimited plan. That's nice. And then Mike has posted some links to some racks with handles and wheels. That's cool. And Giles says he can tell the difference when it's 2.5 versus 1.5, so that's good too. And then Rich, of course, says that we're all living on the edge. Okay. Leonard said he tested his phone and he got a 2431. That's pretty nice. That was megabits. Okay, well that's pretty cool. Coming up, and I don't have any cool graphics or banners to show you with coming up, but coming up, and I've already got in the studio the Perfect Track camera system from PTZ Optics. This is the camera that will track you no matter where you go. You leave the state, it's going to track you down. And so I look forward to putting that together and getting that up and running. Last week we showed you the T-Bar, the XKE 124, was it? I think it was 124 T-Bar from X-Keys, from the guys at PI Engineering, and had Dan Slider on the show, and that was cool. In fact, we were able to sweet talk them into making us a deal on that T-Bar, so we now have a T-Bar in the studio. So that'll be fun. If you want to buy it, yes, we would probably sell it to you. What else is cooking? We told you about the gigabits, the PoE switch, and so we'll be working on that. Of course, we've got a build on the workbench right now too, so it's a busy little time here, but that's okay. That's the way we like it. We like it busy like that. It's funny when you're busy, you can get a lot done. When you're not busy, suddenly productivity stops or slides back. Let's see, anything else going in there? Yeah, there's something new in the U.S. on internet over phones, particularly with Verizon. I think it's LTE Plus that promises 50 to 100 megabit speeds. So it's going to be interesting to see. Supposedly the big city within 50 miles of us has it. Whether it'll happen over here as a result of happening over there, I don't know. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. So you want to hang out with us next week. Hopefully we'll have the Perfect Track figured out and up and running by then, and we'll have an update on any of the other projects that we've been working on too, and maybe some other thoughts after you ponder this kind of experience right here. Let's see. Let me try that again. If you ponder this kind of experience, it's like, okay, how would we do this differently? What would we do to improve it? What would we not do For example, one of the things I can tell is I would not get a chair that leans so far back. But that's a different story. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you'll hang out with us if you're watching live in the chat room. If you watch us on YouTube and you're like, chat room, what chat room? Well, go to easternshorebroadcasting.com and go to the Watch Now link, on that page, and you'll see this again, and then below this you'll see the chat room, so you can come on in the chat room and chat with some of the guys or read what they're saying. For the most part, they're a good group. Let's see who. Looks like Edward Ford is going to bring refreshments today, so he needs to go get that squared away while we come out. So, thank you for tuning in. We'd love to have you subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all that other good stuff. If you need some assistance with software, cool software like vMix, I'm an authorized reseller, so I'd be happy to help you. If you're struggling with a PC setup, something you bought at Best Buy or something somebody built and it's not working right, give me a call. I might be able to help you get straight on that. Certainly can build one for you that will do exactly what you need. And that's my forte and what I love doing. But until next time, this is Streaming Idiots. I'm Tom Sinclair, and we will see you. I guess we'll see you then. I don't have any good closing here, though. Oh, here's an idea. We'll do this. Okay. Anyway, so we'll say, catch you next time. Be good, have fun, and it'll be later.